Hello, everyone. I'm Eliza Parker with Conscious Baby. I was one of the speakers on the Sleep Masterclass, and I wanted to talk with you guys some about sleep challenges and sleep associations. So, there are some different facets to the work I do, but sleep associations is a pretty interesting topic. So, this approach is from Aware Parenting, and it's really about identifying and addressing underlying needs behind why your baby or toddler is not relaxing deeply to sleep well, or to sleep better, or to reduce night wakings, or to settle down at bedtime, all of those. Often there's crying associated with sleep, either before sleep or maybe during a waking. And you want to kind of know the ins and outs of what I mean, though. So for some families, it'll be obvious. There might be some fussing and some crying at bedtime or nap time or when they wake up. That's the obvious option. For some families, if you don't do something in particular, then there would be crying. Like if they don't have the pacifier, they would cry, or if they don't have a lovey item, they would cry, or if you don't nurse to sleep, nursing is amazing. So this is a bigger topic, but nursing for comfort, I mean, is a little different from nursing for hunger. Again, there's pieces to this, but if you didn't do that and they would cry, if you didn't do that, those are the places you want to look. And if that's not your experience right now, go backwards to when you started having sleep challenges and think about, was there crying at that point? Usually we find that somewhere along the way there is, and that the biggest reason that we see behind sleep challenges is some pent up big feelings or stress. That's not a bad thing. You're not failing, not a bad thing, normal part of life. But what a lot of parents, what's new information for a lot of parents is that crying itself can actually be a need and a solution. So reason number one for crying, everyone knows that babies cry when they have basic needs. So they're hungry, they want to be held, those kind of basic needs. What's usually new information is that babies also cry to release stress, to communicate, to tell you about their experiences. It might be their birth story, anything from early on, womb, birth, after birth, or whatever happened that day, anything that was scary, etc. They need to process their experiences just like we do. Why it comes up around sleep often is that it's harder for all of us to hold it together when we're tired. It's just a more vulnerable timing, and that's when the feelings tend to bubble up. And babies are so wise, they innately know that in order to sleep, they need to relax, and in order to relax, they might need to let off steam. So that's how the crying and big feelings get associated with sleep, or tend to come up around sleep. If you have a toddler, it can look more like busyness. So it can look different ways, but there are often feelings behind that. So if you look at sleep itself, the natural response to being tired or sleepy is to sleep. So if you kind of think of just sleep itself, there's a direct line. The way to meet the need for being tired or sleepy is to sleep. So when there's fussing or crying or big feelings, the need there, the underlying need there, is to get them out, is to let off steam, express them, what's going on. So the way to meet that need is to stay present and allow that cry and let them let off some of that steam. So in aware parenting, we call this crying in arms, very different from cry it out. The research is different, the approach is different, but the basic how-to is, or the basic idea is crying, not feeling like you need to separate from it, not feeling like you need to make it stop, which is very much the advice that a lot of parents, I think, get from our culture and from generations, is that you've got to stop the crying. But this is really about recognizing that crying as communication to you, as a real legitimate need. So holding them in arms, being present and allowing it. So this is a different option from separating from it or figuring out some way to make it stop. So if you think about what you tend to do when your baby cries or to get your baby to sleep, is there anything in particular? Do you find yourself getting exhausted trying to get them to sleep? If it could be something that they have or something you do, like it could be a pacifier or it could be rocking, bouncing, standing, walking, comfort nursing, like mentioned before. Some of these, like nursing and pacifier, can have other layers too, like if there's something going on, tongue tie or body skull, trying to realign skull bones, that's another layer. But in general, there's often feelings behind that. So the investigation for you to be detective mama, is if you didn't do that thing or your baby didn't have that thing, what would happen? Would they cry? Often the answer is they would cry. If not, they might stay awake. They might just keep staying awake, waiting to be put to sleep. That's also an indication. Something's bubbling, just kind of not letting them just let go and relax, typically. And then also, if it's not your experience that if you don't do that thing, they'll cry, look back in your history and when you started doing whatever it is, would they cry? That's kind of that's a way to look and investigate this. So the sleep association then is actually usually a feelings association. It's the feelings and that pent-up stress that gets sticky and develops habits. If you think back in your own life at how you were raised, the messages you got around feelings, and just kind of think about habits, like the emotional habits in your family, your own emotional habits. It's the emotions, the feelings that get sticky and tricky and stick to things. So that's what tends to be the glue that holds the whatever is happening, pacifier, the bouncing, etc., that holds that to sleep. So it's not a bad thing if you're seeing big feelings or there might be some pent up stress. Not a bad thing, mamas. You didn't do anything wrong. Natural part of life. And letting the stress out is a big way that they heal and process it, but in relationship. So yeah, what to do in terms of sleep associations and those pent up big feelings and stress is, again, we call it crying in arms. So when you have the doorway, when those feelings come up, they present themselves. Go ahead and try just holding your baby and let them and listen with your loving attention. Let them get those feelings out. If there's something like a pacifier, go ahead and try not giving it to them, but in place of that, being present there, saying, hi, I know this is different. You usually have the pacifier, but I want to listen. You can cry if you need to. Or whatever it is that you tend to do to either stop the crying or get your baby to sleep. Try just sitting back, find a comfy chair that supports you while you support your baby, and just listen and let those feelings come up. What typically happens after a cry release like that is that it will be naturally, innately self-regulating. So once the feelings get out, they're able to find their way more easily relaxing. So often they will fall asleep or sleep more deeply or sleep longer or easier to get down. You'll see a shift like that. Or you might notice a shift in demeanor. They might seem calmer, more serene, less clingy. That's not to say they don't still need you. They still need connectedness in relationship. But if you find your baby won't let you put them down, you might see a shift in that, just becoming more interrelating, very two-way. And so look for those things, the relaxing afterwards, calmer state. That really indicates that they've gotten a chunk out. Sometimes at the beginning, you might see you start trying this and it seems like they're always sad and it's not resolving. You're not doing it wrong. Sometimes it takes a few goes to get it out. And then sometimes there's some deeper stuff underneath the initial feelings, like processing birth story. So if you feel like that might be up also, then reach out and ask questions. But last thing I want to share with you guys, what's come up lately in my groups is about feelings sometimes being deep-rooted. So they might go through an initial layer of getting the feelings out, and then things are great for a while, and then you see certain behaviors or sleep challenges creeping back in. What I find is that tends to mean there's something still in there. There's still a chunk of something they're processing, which can be birth or early story. It can be other things too. So it's like weeding your garden or weeding your yard. Some just come up easily. Some, like, you try to get the root and it snaps off and you're like, left the root in the ground, it's just going to grow back again. Just to say, not to be discouraging, but just so that you know, when you're working with your babies and your toddlers with sleep challenges and behaviors, when you really look at this perspective, look at it from this perspective of what's making your baby or your toddler not relax fully, it's very often connected to some feelings or stress inside. There are ways to get that out. It's a beautiful thing. And it also can be a process. It's really a process of communication and relationship versus an end goal that they're going to sleep all night, every night for the rest of their lives. Because we grow up, we realize things, they develop so fast. We're humans, babies are people, and people change and grow. So think of it as a process in a relationship. And that's how I think of it in this approach. So hope that's helpful. Do you guys have any questions? Anyone who's watching? You are welcome to leave me questions below. Also, anyone watching this at another time. And I also have a Facebook group you're welcome to join in addition to this one, that where we talk about this stuff all the time. So, okay, I don't see any questions. So, take care, everyone. Best wishes and good vibes for sleep and for the times we're in. And take care of yourselves. Bye.